Welcome back to the pod, everyone. I'm here with Matt Harris, our resident expert on all things SEO and the emerging world of AEO, or answer engine optimization. Matt, this is a topic I know our listeners, especially the e-commerce folks, are desperate to understand. We all see people using ChatGPT and Perplexity to research products. So, the million-dollar question: how do we actually get our products cited by these AI answer engines? It feels like a black box.
It totally feels that way, but I promise it's more tactical and less magical than it seems. Think of it less like tricking a black box and more like teaching a new, incredibly smart student. These AI models are trained on massive amounts of public data from the web. Our goal is to make our product information the clearest, most authoritative, and most easily understood data for that student to learn from. It boils down to a few key technical and content strategies that anyone can implement.
Okay, I love that teaching a student analogy. So, where do we start? What's lesson one for this student?
Lesson one is speaking its language, and that language is structured data, specifically schema.org markup. This is the absolute bedrock. It's a standardized code vocabulary you add to your website that helps search engines and, crucially, answer engines understand exactly what they're looking at. Instead of just seeing text on a page that says price $99, schema markup explicitly labels that piece of data as a price, connects it to a specific product, and defines the currency.
So, it's like putting a perfect machine readable label on every piece of information. Is this difficult to implement? I think a lot of our listeners might get nervous at the word code.
It's way less scary than it sounds. For most e-commerce platforms like Shopify, WooCommerce, or BigCommerce, there are apps and plugins that handle the heavy lifting for you. You just install them, configure your settings, and they generate the JSON LD code, which is the preferred format, and inject it into your product pages automatically. For a more hands-on approach, I often use a tool like SEO Melon to audit and validate the markup to ensure it's error-free. The key types of schema to use are product, and within that, you'll want to include offers with price, currency, and availability, brand, aggregate rating if you have reviews, and an image.
Got it. So, step one is getting that schema markup in place and error free. Let's say I've done that. What's the next lesson for our AI student? How do we go from being understood to being chosen as the citation?
The next lesson is all about establishing authority and context through what we call entity optimization. An entity is a distinct real-world thing, a person, a place, a product, a brand. Answer engines are fantastic at understanding the relationships between entities. Your goal is to make your product a well-defined entity that is connected to other reputable entities. This means ensuring your product and brand are listed in key knowledge bases that these models are trained on.
Knowledge bases, like Wikipedia?
Wikipedia is the big one, but it's not the only one. Think also of Wikidata, Crunchbase for companies, industry-specific databases, and even major publications that act as authoritative sources. If your brand is cited on Wikipedia and in a Forbes article, and your product is listed on reputable review sites like Wirecutter or CNET, the AI sees that as a strong signal of trust and relevance. It's building a web of credibility around your entity. For a new product, this might start with getting listed in relevant online stores, press releases picked up by reputable news wires, and product review blogs.
That makes perfect sense. It's like building a digital reputation that the AI can verify. Now, let's talk about the actual content on the product page itself. Beyond the structured data, what kind of content does the AI student prefer to learn from?
This is a critical shift in thinking. For decades, we optimized for human readers who would eventually find an answer after reading some persuasive marketing copy. Answer engines want the opposite. They want the answer first. They crave content formatted in a way that can be directly extracted and used. This is where the answer first content format comes in.
Answer first. Can you give us an example of what that looks like on a product page for, say, a wireless router?
Absolutely. A traditional page might have a flashy headline, a cinematic video, and paragraphs of text about the seamless connected experience. An answer-optimized page would have a clear, concise H1 tag. Netgear Nighthawk Arax 300 Tri-Band Wi-Fi 6E router. Right below that, you'd have a bulleted list or a table with key specs. Wi-Fi standard, Wi-Fi 6E, 802.11ax. Maximum speed, 10.8 Gbps. Number of bands, tri-band. Coverage area, up to 2,500 SQFT. You're directly answering the most likely questions a researcher would have before they even have to scroll. You're preempting the query.
So you're essentially writing the FAQ that the AI would generate, right on the page.
Exactly, which is a perfect segue to one of the most powerful tactics, the dedicated FAQ section. But not just any FAQs. We're not talking how do I contact support. These need to be product specific, feature specific, and comparison specific questions that a savvy shopper would ask an AI. What is the difference between the RAX 300 and the previous model, the RAX 200? Is this router compatible with a 1 Gbps internet plan? Does it support MU-MIMO technology? By semantically structuring these questions in heading tags, like H2 or H3, and providing clear, concise answers right below, you are creating a treasure trove of direct, quotable content for answer engines.
That is such a practical, actionable tip. I can already imagine our listeners going to add those comparison-based FAQs to their pages. Now, Matt, let's get into the weeds for a moment. We've talked about the what to put on the page. Is there a specific way to structure it for technical crawling and comprehension?
There is. While answer engines can render JavaScript better than ever, it's still a best practice to serve critical content. Your product specs, your key FAQs, your price and availability in the raw HTML source code. Don't let that vital information be lazy loaded or require a complex JavaScript execution to appear. The easier it is for a crawler to find it immediately, the better. Furthermore, using proper semantic HTML tags is like giving the AI a highlighted textbook. Use for specs, or for lists and heading tags, etc., to establish a clear content hierarchy. This reinforces the relationships between pieces of information that your schema markup is already defining.
Semantic HTML, got it. It's like using the right labels in a filing cabinet. Now, a big picture question. How do we know any of this is working? Is there a way to track if ChatGPT or Perplexity is citing our products?
This is the tricky part, as there's no direct analytics dashboard like Google Search Console yet. Tracking is more observational. You can set up Google Alerts for brand and product mentions, but that often misses AI citations. The best method is to regularly perform manual searches within these tools. Use queries you've optimized for, like best your product category or your product model versus competitor. See if you appear. Another tactic is to look at your referral traffic in Google Analytics. Sometimes, though not always, these citations can generate click-throughs. Mostly, it's about trusting that if you implement these foundational tactics, schema, entity authority, answer first content, you are putting your product in the best possible position to be seen as a source.
That makes sense. It's about building a system that you trust will work, even if the direct metrics are fuzzy. Matt, as we wrap up, what is the one single most impactful thing a business owner listening right now can do this week to start getting their products cited?
If I had to pick one, it's this: is the audit and fix your product schema markup. It is the single most important technical foundation. Use the free Google Rich Results test tool. Paste in your product page URL and see if it validates. If it has errors or warnings, fix them. If you have no markup at all, use a plugin or developer to implement it immediately. This is not a maybe it helps tactic. This is the primary language these answer engines use to understand your product. Everything else, the great content, the FAQs, builds on top of that solid foundation. Without it, you're trying to teach that smart student without speaking its language.
Audit your schema markup. That is a crystal clear, actionable takeaway. Matt, this has been incredibly insightful. Thank you for demystifying AEO and giving our listeners a real tactical guide they can start using today.
My pleasure. It's a fascinating space, and it's exciting to see how these strategies are evolving.
And to all of you listening, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep optimizing.